All right, Shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash. We would like to give double honors to our elders and apostles of Great Millstone that do rule well, and peace and salutations to the Lord's elect, the hopeful elect in 1/3, and Lord's will, the sincere sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, will be edified. And we are the Church of Great Millstone, located in Rochester, New York, which Rochester, New York is one of the 3 largest cities in New York State, out of New York City, Buffalo, and here in Rochester. And in each of these major cities in New York, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has brought forth a church, and we are the Church of Rochester and Great Millstone. And we are on location, which is known as Kelsey's Landing, which it was established in 1844 by Alexander Kelsey. And right behind us is the Genesee River. Now this same river was famous for its importing and exporting, but it's even more famous for being a location for runaway slaves fleeing the South to get their freedom in what you know today as Ontario, Canada. So this is Genesee River behind us, and this same river, our people would have to escape all the way from down south through many states, much treachery, and if they could make it to the north, it didn't stop there. They had to go further north and go upper north, which have been Canada, okay? And these are all the curses that are upon our people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? And we just want to bring out some more edification in our 2-part documentary series, and this is the last stop for Rochester and the Underground Railroad. What you know is the Underground Railroad, this would have been the last station that you would get on to flee America in attempts to escape the brutal slavery that was put upon our people for disobedience. All right, so we're going to start right with the scriptures.
This is Amos 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all of your iniquities.
See, so right there, that's showing you that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is only dealing with his chosen people. He said, you only out of all the families of the earth. Now, can you get Sirach 17, and I want to say 16 or 17, where his eyes are on you continually? See, what you got to understand, what's through the truth, all right, of us being taught from our elders, apostles of Great Millstone, and from their elders, then trickled to us, is we found out why we were into slavery, why the Underground Railroad took place, why the oppression. A lot of our people don't know why they're in this condition, and it's found right in the Bible, okay, and these are the answers. This is why now you want to seek the Lord while he may be found, because judgment is coming that's going to be worse than slavery, worse than the Underground Railroad, okay? Because what our people did carnally, all right, escaping, we're doing spiritually. All right, so I'm going to read that.
This is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 17 and verse 17. For in the division of the nations of the whole earth, he set a ruler over every people. But Israel is the Lord's portion.
See, Israel, all right, Israelites, Hebrew Israelites, all right. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai has always had a chosen lineage of men that he was dealing with. And the reason why we're in what you know America today is our disobedience for being the chosen people and not adhering, all right, to what the Lord required, which it is all prophecy, all right? Us being here is prophecy. You see? Keep going.
It says, whom being his firstborn, he nourished it with discipline.
And this is what the Lord told Moses to tell Pharaoh in Egypt. That's why when you ask a Christian that, ask them, why did the Lord take the firstborn? They would have to tell you because Israel's their firstborn. So that never changed. Israel has the rights of the firstborn. Okay, keep going. Even the son of the Most High, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, whose true name, his birth name is Yahushai, he is a Hebrew Israelite. Okay?
It says, whom being his firstborn, he nourished it with discipline.
This is us being nourished with discipline. Even the walk of us coming down here, we're young men, you know, and we weren't being chased. You didn't have the bloodhounds on us. You didn't have any kidnappers or slave catchers. It wasn't by night. Okay, we were able to drive here. We have water to drink, and we still had to collect ourselves. It was very treacherous. Okay, it's a very steep, downhill, rocky, rooted slope that Jake had to get through to get here.
Very narrow too.
Yep.
You know, as the brother may have mentioned, you could fall. You know, you could fall, roll down, hit your head on the rock. You know.
And then what? Was there an ambulance that would have came and picked you up? See, a lot of our people haven't been open to the mere fact that the land that you're claiming, twerking and jumping and going in the army and dying for is the same land that you were murdered, raped, and stolen, brought to. Okay? In the city of Rochester, where we're on, this literal landmass was the last underground railroad station that so-called Negroes, all right, so-called Haitians, so-called West Indians would have to escape, some so-called Seminole Indians, some so-called Native Americans. There's a lot of so-called Native Americans in Canada. Why? Because of what took place here in this land. And they would escape, flee, hide, go days without eating, jump, break bones, blood, and all to travel down to hope that when they got down here, there was a steamship waiting that would deliver them. And sometimes a steamship would just go to Michigan, okay? Or would go to England, or in hopes, Canada, all right? Keep going.
It says, but whom being his firstborn, he nourished it with discipline, and giving him the light of his love, doth not forsake him.
There you go. So we're not forsaken. See, now you fast forward all the way to today, okay? You see that us as a people, the same, our ancestors were hung from these same trees behind us, hid in the same trees that are standing today. But now we're being raised up in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai with the truth now. All right, now we run to the Lord. We don't run to Canada. All right, we're waiting in Babylon for deliverance. So everything our people did carnally, we're now doing spiritually. Because when you left in the Underground Railroad, you were doing what? Turning your back against America. All right, not partaking in their high hell days, their functions. But now our people are, because they have a sense of freedom. All right, so we want to jump into a little bit of fun facts about Kelsey's Landing, touch on some of that, the conditions of it, and then bring further edification for you.
Right here is the article. All right, it says the past operations underground railroad stations. It says for Kelsey's Landing, located on Driving Park, behind the entrance to the Maplewood Rose Garden.
Yep. So now, above us, what would you brother say, about almost 100 yards up? It's as long as a football field. Let's see.
Maybe more.
Yeah, maybe even more. If you look, this is behind us. You see, we had to walk all the way down all this. So imagine back then. Imagine, how many years ago.
Right, we're really on location right now.
Yep.
You know, like we didn't just wait up there.
Yep.
We actually came down to see what they're experiencing.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
It says this was a key. This was a key spot because it marked the place where slaves were placed abroad Canadian vessels.
See?
Once,
No, you're good.
once abroad, they were safely under the Canadian flag.
See? Because when you go up about 200 yards this way, there's actually the foundation still laid where once you would have foreign flags. Because like we were saying, this was an import and export. Okay? You could import things from Canada, all right, other territories like Michigan and so on, and they would come here because Rochester was a booming industrial city at one point in time. All right? And Western New York would not have been what it is today without the enslavement and slave labor of Hebrew Israelite slaves. All right? So yet again, we are at the last stop, the last station of the Underground Railroad, right here. How many years ago? Let's see, 1865, 1965, 2065. So what? About 100 plus years. So right here, 100 plus years ago, the vibration was way different. Now, what you have today, there was docks, there was also established restaurants, and you would travel down, but you'd have to wait. You'd actually have to wait, sweat. Like even now, it's humid, we're sweating, but the condition back then, even if you got to the boat, that didn't mean you would have been delivered.
Right.
That's why we are what? Spiritually the hopeful elect. We're hoping to be delivered. You see? Everything that our people did carnally with the Underground Railroad, we're doing now spiritually. All right?
And it says, once abroad, they were safely under the Canadian flag.
Yep.
The landing is at the foot of the cliff, and trail leads halfway down.
And that's what we did. We saw where they had the Canadian flag, which the brother will show, and then we traveled down to get to here. Okay? And like I said, this is we had said it in the last part. This was the Lord lightening our affliction that Esau increased. Okay? And yep, we're gonna jump in. We got some more to read.
Yep. And then right here in the Underground Railroad article.
Yep, this is a Underground Railroad article. All this information we got at our local library. You know.
All right. Now it says, this is the 4 paragraphs from the last. It says, in the North, Hicksite Quakers and other abolitionists provided some of the most organized support for the Underground Railroad, particularly in the wake of the Fugitive Slave Act.
Yeah.
A night's lodging, a place to hide from slave catchers.
Now the Fugitive Slave Act was in 1850.
Yep.
And then the Kelsey's Landing was created in 1844. So it was about 6 years before this Slave Act started, because you had Jakes coming this way. They were getting out of there, you know, about 1793-ish, you know, when you look up the facts, okay?
And it says, to hide from slave catchers, Edomites,
Yeah.
a mill and covert transportation by wagon, boat, or horseback.
Yeah, and the wagons were they were fall proof, meaning if this was the top of the wagon, it could open and you were like the trunk. Basically, you were in the trunk while they were riding on the wagon, because you got to understand, they always talk about the North being free, but if the North was free, what was it? Free from racism? Was it free from the hatred? Because if it was, why did you need secret houses to hide in, escaping slavery down south? Why did you have to secretly come to this landing to flee? Because it was never set up for Esau and Jacob to fully dwell together in peace and unity. Now the Lord can put a peaceable spirit on our enemies, but in its entirety, that was never the case. Okay, Esau likes to lie to our people and tell them that. That was never the case.
And it says, boat or horseback prove welcome to slaves fleeing the south. Of the thousands of slaves who fled the plantations each year, most never made it to freedom.
Most never made it. So they embarked, and you know what that reminds me of? The 40 years in the wilderness. Because most of Israel didn't make it to the promised land. Okay? Just like here, because back then they didn't have prophets. It wasn't time for the Lord to set the apostles up. So what they did carnally, we're doing now spiritually. That's why, can you grab that? Many are called, but few were chosen. It's at Matthew 22:14. See, many were called. Come on, there's a wagon. So they were called, but not all of them were chosen. Just like now, you have many Israelite men, first and foremost, that are being called, but not all are chosen to escape to the promised land. You got it?
Yep. Matthew 22:14. For many are called, but few are chosen.
See, now read that point again. And I would like to keep reiterating that statement. What our people did, what our ancestors did carnally, we're doing now spiritually, because we're in the true hour. All right? Because just when you got to Canada didn't mean everything was okay. You see?
And it says, of the thousands of slaves.
See, many were called,
who fled the plantations each year.
The kingdom of heaven's a long journey.
Yep.
Matthew 25. You know,
it says most never made it to freedom.
See? Because why? Only a small remnant. All right. This is showing you right here that you can't carnally deliver yourself. Remember, it says no man shall buy you. All right. So even though we're at the last station of the Underground Railroad, that still didn't guarantee salvation. But what we're doing now does. Okay? A little more. Did you have a point you want to make, brother?
I do have a precept.
Okay, you read yours, and then we'll just keep going with that.
Malachi 3:6. For I am Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, thy power, I change not. Therefore, you sons of Jacob are not consumed. right? Because we could have got consumed in all of this shit, man. We could have got consumed in slavery and the Jim Crow laws and, you know, the fugitive slave laws, segregation, the Ku Klux Klan. You know, it's really a miracle for us to be standing here right now.
And prophecy.
And prophesying.
Yep.
You know, and Esau uses it as a tourist attraction.
Yep.
Or you know, a getaway. You know.
Yep. Well, actually, to back the brother's point up, as we were walking, sweating, coming down here, you had 3 Edomites strolling, and then while we were standing right here off camera, you saw them. There was 2 Edomites that came right here, smiled at us, and walked up.
Yep.
But it's spiritual because back then it would have been the same nation, but necessarily not the same interaction.
Right.
Like I was telling my brothers, I said, you know, Wadi Abba Shai, but those same 3 Edomites, when we first started walking, they would have been a different spirit. What you doing here, boy? You got your freedom papers? Huh? Get the law, get the law. And then you'd have to run and hide. And then you're hiding over here, you're huffing and puffing, and the other Edomites are looking for you.
Then you've never been here before, so you don't know the terrain. You don't know what it's like. So you running, you might fall, you know.
Yeah.
Kill yourself.
And guess what? You know, it's even more spiritual. We're in a valley. And Lord's will, we should get that prophecy because you got to understand with everything that's going on, with us standing on the spot for salvation, ultimately the salvation is coming though.
Yep.
Okay? So this is a very spiritual spot because our people were hastening to be delivered. And that's what we're doing now. But the deliverance that we're going to get is the prophecy that they were waiting for that wasn't for them. That's for this time period. Deliverance, salvation, you know?
And it says, many returned to the plantation after a few days or weeks away.
Oh, they went back. Can you get in Luke, woe to you that put your hand to the plow and look back? Rook, you got it?
Yeah, they didn't have no hope.
They didn't have no hope. Why'd they go back? You know? What's it?
12,
yeah.
Luke 9.
Oh, is it Luke 9, 6?
Yeah.
And it says, many returned to the plantation after a few days or weeks away.
After a few days, and they came back. And then you think they came back with open arms? I'm going to tell you how it went. You watched the movie Django, which if we could, we'd put it in the production. But in the movie Django, remember? You owe me 5 fights.
Yep.
And then he was, I can't, boss, I can't. And then he had those dogs tear him. Okay. So when they went back crawling. Oh, you should go to them for want of all things. You may wanted freedom, but you had to go back to them for shelter. Right. They probably gave him X amount of lashings, took his food away, put him in the hot box, like Django's wife. Okay? Many things they did to humiliate them.
And break your spirit.
Yep.
Like when they cut Kunta's foot off, they didn't break his spirit though.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
That's why they would do these things.
And read that, Luke, please.
This is Luke chapter 9 and verse 62. And Yahushua said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High.
See? Now they did that carnally because you had men that were in a spirit of a judge. Remember, we've always had judges to raise us up, but we also went back into slavery. Okay? Now we have it biblically, but historically today, one would say Frederick Douglass. They would even say Harriet Tubman, right? There was a spirit on them to be raised up to deliver you. But that didn't mean you were granted ultimate salvation that's promised to us for our kingdom. Okay? And that's what took place. And there was a lot of times where Jake got left, and they would use these scriptures. They would read these scriptures and use them on a carnal level. But that's why, I keep saying through the Spirit, what they did carnally, because they didn't have the Holy Spirit, we're doing now spiritually. Okay?
A little more precept.
Yep.
Sirach chapter 2, verse 1 to verse 2, it says, my son, if thou comest toward the Lord, prepare thyself for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure and make not haste in the time of trouble.
Yep.
And that's what Jake did. They went back after a few days or a few weeks, and they got faint-hearted.
Yeah.
Back in the article, and it says, many returned to the plantation after a few days or weeks away, tired, hungry, and unable to survive as wanted fugitives.
Can you get that, please, in the law? The curses, you should go to them for want of all things. Because is that not what happened? Mm-hmm. They literally, look, boss, master, and you think Esau showed any mercy?
No.
He probably, like the brother was saying, he probably still cut his foot off, and things of that nature. Because I'm going to tell you something heavy. Within the fact that the Lord loosened the bands of our oppression, at the same time, we're still supposed to be in captivity. Okay? You're not supposed to go to Egypt, the actual Egypt. You're not supposed to fly to Israel. You're not supposed to take a steamship to Canada. All right, Canada. We're supposed to, we got to get that. Or bear the indignation. Okay? You read that?
Wait, can you quote it again?
Yeah, you should go to them for want of all things.
Okay, right.
It's like 40.
I'll keep going.
Yep.
And it says,
Okay. You got it? Yep. All right, read it.
Deuteronomy 28 and verse 47.
And I want to say this is a hard pill to swallow, but it is reality, it is the truth, and it is prophecy. Okay? You got it, brother.
Because thou servest not
See?
the Lord thy power, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
Now, what was the nakedness? The nakedness is Jeremiah 17:4, losing our heritage. That's why our people said they're black, they're Negro, they're African American. Our people have been brought so low that they don't even believe they're Hebrew Israelites. They believe that they went through this. Well, some do. They're so gone. Some of our people don't even believe slavery took place. Our people have been brought so low from the disobedience that now this is why only a small remnant is coming back.
It's like if I can add, now you got Esau in the school systems. He want to, erase that history.
Yep.
And follow what theory?
Yep.
You know?
Which is really spiritual because he's going to be erased from history,
Right.
ultimately. So with him trying to erase some of the things he's done in history, ultimately the Lord's going to erase him from history. Okay?
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Oh, and we didn't even speak on that. When you watch the movie Free State Jones with Matthew McConaughey, you had Jakes that literally, it looked like the frame of a nightstand, like the four legs. And it was so, imagine if you had escaped through this with chains on, you know, still chains to your hands.
Catching on branches and shit.
Yeah. You know, your neck wasn't right, your wrists aren't right, your feet ain't right.
And what if you fall?
And then what if you broke your neck?
Done.
You break your neck. You know, so who knows how many bodies of Hebrew Israelite runaway slaves are in these same woods, have drowned in these rivers. Okay? And speaking on death, this same river, the Genesee River, not only does Rochester have a beer named after it, in what, 1878?
Yep.
This same river now that you drink your beer from is the same river that a spirit created for vengeance by the name of Arthur Shawcroft was called the Genesee River Killer. When he would kill women and dump their bodies out here.
Yep.
So there's a spirit of judgment in this area. Okay?
Back in the article, or do you want that precept on further indignation?
Yes.
St. Micah chapter 7 and verse 9. It says, I will bear the indignation of the Lord Yahweh Shai.
And I want to say this yet again. Okay, we bear that indignation now because back then our people were forced to flee. Not all of them. Like the movie Django, that was based in Texas. He didn't run away. He was a free man in Texas, but look at all the shit he was going through. But that was the Lord transitioning the spirit in America. All right? There was different ages or spirits that the Lord had on this landmass. You see? Keep going. But now, fast forward, all right, we are what? Bearing the indignation. We've got so-called rights and freedoms to do what? To prophesize. We don't use the rights and freedom we've been given here in America to act as a free Edomite. All right? We use our freedom, our liberty to do the work. We use our freedom and our liberty to do the work of Yahweh Shem El Shai. Not to go to the club or to become a rapper or an aspiring actor or actress or go into politics. Okay? But see, freedom messed our people up because what freedom did was make them Gentiles.
Docile.
It made them docile Gentiles. You see, when they freed you to American culture.
Well, it put Jake back to sleep, you know, because now Jake is satisfied with having a paycheck, you know, having a one-bedroom apartment,
Car,
a car,
a phone.
you know.
9 to 5.
Yeah, especially that phone.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
witchcraft.
Yep. And our people are still in a low condition. They're still in the ghetto. They're still oppressed.
Well, now it's even lower. Like they're in a lower condition
Yep.
than they were when they're in slavery.
Yep.
'Cause at least when you were in slavery, you knew. But now we are still in captivity. Well, yet they're in our captivity, but they don't even know.
They don't consider.
They don't consider.
You want to grab that too?
Got it.
Did you finish that? The one about the curse?
Yes.
Okay, so you got yours, and then we'll get that and go back in the article. All right.
Back in St. Micah 7 and verse 9, it says, I will bear the indignation of the Lord.
Now, that word indignation, righteous anger, it's a furnace, but we have a comforter within this furnace. You see? So we have comfort. Okay? It was hell even getting down here. It's hell being here, but we have a comforter. When our day is bad, we have hope now. It says, you shall be saved by hope. You know?
And it says, because I have sinned against him,
See?
until he plead my cause.
Now, in the Apocrypha, it speaks about Jake being judged for refusing the captivity of Babylon. So we have to obey the powers that be. But the level that Esau brought it, Jake had to run away at that time because they were raping him.
Yeah.
Jake had to run away. He's cutting their members off. Okay? But now the Lord lessened that. So we're not just on a plantation and being whipped and killed and beat. Now Esau's in a box. Now with this form of freedom, he has laws that he has to abide by. Now we can stand on the same streets that we only could come out at night or with our head down or in a fall away wagon. Now we can actually stand out there in boldness.
Right.
Wisdom of Solomon 5.
Yep.
Stand in great boldness against such as afflicted him. We are standing where our ancestors once stood, but now in the spirit. Now in the spirit, and the same oppressive ancestors and their offsprings have to just watch us.
Right. And now we know why. Now we know why we were in slavery.
Yep.
You know, and now we know the solution too.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And that's one of the biggest things you, as a so-called Black, Latino, Native American, and fellow believers, are in your curses and oppression. Understand with punishment, that is that's a repercussion of your actions. Just like now, you run a red light, there's a repercussion for that, a consequence. So with the curses is a consequence of disobedience. But we're coming to the end of the curses. The fact that we have the Holy Spirit now, the Wadi al-Bashmashai is letting us, is an inkling to let us know the new covenant is coming.
And it says, until he plead my cause and execute judgment for me.
See? So we're waiting for the Lord, not civil war. Because civil war didn't free you. See? And guess what? Jake got freed through civil war. The elect are ultimately going to be freed for World War III.
Right. Yep. And it says, he will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness.
Yeah, and get Isaiah 60. 16:2, the light grows darkness. Yep.
Right.
So the light is being shined. Okay?
St. Isaiah chapter 60 and verse 1, it says, arise and shine. And that's talking about us.
Yep, the light.
You know?
Can you get 2 Corinthians 4 and 6? But hold that too. We'll go back in there, please. Touching on this light, read it from the top again.
Isaiah 16 verse 1, it says, arise, shine, for thy light is come.
Yeah, the wisdom maketh the man face to shine. Because see, you got to understand, Esau, when we were in literal slavery, he conditioned our minds to be as an adolescent. So he didn't want us to even have a mind to think, a mind to be your own man.
Yeah, kill the brain, keep the body.
Kill the brain and keep the body. Keep that brain at a low. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's why that movie, The Green Mile, with Jake, you
Yep.
know, he has powers he was feeling, but his speech was that of a kid.
Yep.
And it says, start with the top. It says, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. Who's that thee? That's us. And what's that glory? It's true. You know, because we could have been still been in the world, amongst Gentile Israelites. But the Lord bestowed this wisdom and knowledge upon us.
Yeah.
And fast forward until now, we are right here in this site, GMS location. Prophesying about the downfall of Esau, while edifying about the hardcore acts towards our people right here.
Yep. So we're standing on the last Underground Railroad station. So this is Station Kelsey. We went to the first one in the spirit, Station Zion. Now we are on Station Kelly. And this same landmass was where Jake sought salvation. And we now in the spirit are telling you where the salvation is going to come from. You know? Yep. Because could you imagine being a runaway slave and then another Jake's like, hold on, you got to stay here.
Right.
No, it wasn't that time yet. You know? A little more. Keep going.
Verse 2, for behold, their darkness shall cover the earth,
Yep.
and gross darkness the people.
Yep.
The Lord shall rise upon thee,
Upon us through the Spirit.
and his glory shall be seen upon thee.
And the glory ultimately is coming, but even this is on a level of glorious. That's why when Jake sees us, they honk, they throw up the fist, they say, great work, mighty, you know, but this is all the Lord. You know, we're here as ambassadors for Yahweh B'Shem El Shai, not our own. We're not trying to be a Harriet Tubman or a Frederick Douglass, okay? We're here just to do what the Lord commanded. Let the word go out, and the Most High gives the increase.
So I looked it up from that church to
Yep,
here.
yep.
It's about an hour and 25 minutes.
Wow. An hour and a half. And let's say 2 hours, and that's if no interruptions.
Right.
That's without hiding and ducking and dodging.
That's a minute. Let's read this though, going back to the light.
2 Corinthians 4 and verse 6. For Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, who commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined in our hearts to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach.
There you go. So that light bulb effect, where one day you were walking down the street and it just, you know, or you met a certain brother or you saw a certain video, one way or another, we've all experienced the light bulb effect because that was a commandment of the Lord. So you got to take righteous pride in that you were actually chosen to wake up out of the midst of our people. That's why we come out with humility. We're bold in righteousness, but not bold in pride and wickedness. This is what the Lord has commanded, because this is the prophecy of Ezekiel 37. Okay? And we can go back to Isaiah and back in the article.
And it says, I'll start from the top again. It says, of the thousands of slaves who fled the plantations each year, most never made it to freedom. Many returned to the plantation after a few days or weeks, tired, hungry, and unable to survive as mounted fugitives. Others were carried back in chains after they're captured by lawmen or professional slave catchers.
And that's the modern day police.
Yep.
That's the modern day police. This is why you still see police around Jake. They're not circling around Asian neighborhoods.
Right.
They're not circling around, white neighborhoods. They're where? They're in the ghettos. And literally, hey, these brothers, were from here longer than me. But we go 10 minutes down that way. You got Edomite cops driving 2 per car and 2 vehicles per unit. They literally drive two together. If one pulls you over, they both pull you over. And now, where's your papers, boy? Is what? License and registration. All right, keep going.
And the word license was what? Privilege.
Yep.
And then back in the day, having those papers was basically a privilege to be out here free, so called.
Yeah, your pass.
Right, your pass.
And then they would lend you out, and then you don't know what would happen to your slave you lend out, because someone else might have been drunk and picked her up or picked him up, and then whatever took place. This is the